Well, I'm doing a bit of a wrap-up video on the VW project. We're not quite all the way there, and yet I know a lot of you guys have waited for months already to see where we're at. I've had out on the road. I've taken it to some friend's place for coffee. Didn't quite take it to church. There's a couple of things I'm still missing. That's the bezels for the lights and the type, and I'm going to be doing that. And I've decided I'm replacing the seat covers. And so I'll actually pull those seats out, replace the seat covers, and I'm actually going to pull that seat out and weld the rails in further back. I'll grind the rails off and weld them in further back. And I've bought another VW, and I'll be bringing that in. I'll be starting some videos on that. But just to give you a bit of an idea, I know it doesn't look completely done here. I've got everything hanging open, but I'm pretty happy. There's a couple things left to do. Still got to put the windshield wiper blades on, but some of the little details I need to have a buddy to come help give me some motivation on some of those things. But like I said, I've taken it out. We've gone out for ice cream with it. We've hung out. But I am really cramped when I sit in the steering wheel, behind the steering wheel. My belly hits the steering wheel. And so I do need to move those rails back and so that I can have a little bit more room in there. I still haven't gotten a back seat, so I'm just going to be using the back seat that I have there, or the backboard, and calling it good for now. As always, I always have another project on the go, so I'm going to be working on that right away. But yeah, it's I've put the rear view mirrors on since I last talked to you, and that went really well. I just used that compression nut tool I had and put it in there. And I put a suction cup rear view mirror in there. I took that long one out. It's right there. It just didn't work very well at all, and I wasn't very impressed with it. So I'm happy it was just a smaller one that fits in there nicely. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the seats done. I'm going to order the seats and the bezels right away. But just for you guys, to give you an idea, hasn't started in a bit. So I have it jacked up here because I was just cleaning up one little fuel leak I had, and took care of that. So it's working good. So let's just give this a shot and see what happens. So it starts relatively well. I'm relatively happy with that. One thing I did have a heck of a time trying to get sorted out was the signal lights. And as you can see, I have them working now. But and the other side. So yeah, I'm pretty happy that that works. And part of the journey I had with this was I just had a real interesting time. I had marker lights here, but when I turned my marker lights on, the marker lights came on here, but not over there, or not in the front. And I was going, what on earth is going on there? So of course I thought it had to be a ground, and so I pulled the ground wires and everything all apart over here. And the grounds were good, and the wires were good, except there's no energy coming to the wire. So I traced it back, and I discovered here, I just assumed that they would just daisy chain the light from here, the tail light from there to there, but no, the wires goes up to the front. And then I looked around and I followed the wires. I traced the wires through the back seat and everything down there, and there was nothing to be found. And again, I could find the power coming on one side. Left hand side had power, but the right hand side didn't. And in the front didn't. And so then I had pulled the front, all the grounds apart underneath the hood, and the lights off. And I was just fit to be tied. And so I traced it all the way back. I got under here, and would you believe it? They have two different fuses. One for the left-hand side rear, but the right-hand side rear is a different fuse with the two front ones. Just bizarre. I guess if one fuse goes, then you still have a taillight. I'm thinking that's what it is. Yeah, these rails down here is what I'm going to be grinding out, so I'll be pulling this seat out. I can order the seat cover. I mean the seat cover, literally I can order this. This vinyl, I can order this. Complete with the little mesh on it, that's original for 1971. And you pop this and you pull the part down there. I'm going to get some, I think they're called hog players, I'm not sure. And they'll be pulling that apart, and so that should work pretty good. And then the seat cover comes off, and you roll the other one back on, and you put it all back together. And so I think that'll make a really nice finish. And I'll do tops and, keep them matching tops and backs. And doing that, and I'll order those in the bezels right away. And that's really the last I have to do in here. I'll probably be putting it up for sale, just to test the market. I'm not that I'm anxious to sell it, but if someone's willing to give me enough money for it, I'm willing to sell it. So I don't know, probably around the $12,000 mark, because I've seen other ones go very close to that amount of money. And so that's sort of my inclination right now. But I mean, all the carpet is in really good shape. I mean, I'd have to clean it up a little bit yet, but do some detailing. My son Daniel did a whole bunch of cleaning up in here for me, and it's looking really good. You can see the back is basically all back together. Everything's all trimmed out, and it's what I like about this one is that there's an awful lot on here that's original. Now you can see I had on a gravel road and the dust was blowing right through here. I'm thinking I shouldn't drive it down a lot of gravel roads, but my buddy was living down a gravel road, so yeah. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for taking all the time to watch a lot of my videos and see what I was doing. All the welding trial and errors I had, all the wiring trial and errors I had, and I'm going to try to tack on a video of me driving this. We have had a blast driving it around. It's really uncomfortable for me to drive, and so I haven't driving as nearly as much as I was hoping to, just because I'm a big guy and it's not made for big guys. So that's why I do want to grind the rails off, move the seats back, and give me an extra 3 or 4 inches. So hopefully I can get that done yet this fall. I will be moving. I have bought an orange VW and Beetle, and it's a 74, but it's a classic. It's not a Super Beetle. So that'll be interesting doing some of the repairs on that. I know that the running boards are completely rusted out, but I've looked underneath and the guy was saying, oh, it's rusted really bad. And so I kind of bought it, I don't want to say sight unseen, but I bought it sort of as is, where is, and the motor turns over. It's not seized at all. Even sounds like it has some compression. yeah, I picked it up on a rainy day, and my buddy lent me his trailer and got it and pulled it in. And so I'll be working on that in the next not too distant future. That'll be my winter project, and I hope to do a lot of recording on that one. But as far as the 71 Super Beetle, I'm pretty happy with where we're at, and I'm going to ask a lot of money for it, and if I don't get it, I'm okay with that because I don't really need to sell it. Um, I'm thinking that there's a lot of people out there who these beetles are very desirable, and if we get the right person who wants it, great, and if not, you know what? Hey, maybe I'll hand it off to one of my kids and let them enjoy it because for me, a lot of the joy has been in the restoration. Learning how to weld, and not, weld so hot to it stretches metal. Rebuilding that motor, oh my goodness, wasn't that painful? I cracked that motor back open about, what, 5 times? And every time I had done something just a little bit wrong or didn't have the flywheel or the crankshaft being able to turn as easily as I wanted it to. And so that was painful. That was just plain painful. But it eventually worked, and as you hear, it's running well. I'm pretty happy with it. I imagine that when it gets cold out, it won't run quite as nice as it is right now. But I don't intend on driving it when it's cold, so that's not really an issue. But if you guys want any more video about this, let me know and what you want to see on it, and I'd be happy to do it. Apart from that, I'm pretty happy with the job that's happened or where we're at with it. Pulling the windows in and out, that was tricky, but that was fun. I learned an awful lot. I know on a new one I'll have to pull the windows out, and the new one has a sunroof in it. So I'll be figuring out that. I'm sure there's going to be some rust around there, so we'll be cleaning that up and probably re-welding some metal in. The rust that was there was, the more I looked, the more rust we found. Remember that? The wheel wells. Oh, wow. I couldn't believe the amount of rust that was there. And I replaced, I was so thankful that I could get those, weld-in panels. Those work slick. Those were really slick. Those weld-in panels worked really well. And I could put in the weld-in panels, and then also just cutting out, I bought a bunch of 18 and 20 gauge metal, and actually had a guy give me a gas tank, and I cut all kinds of patches out of the gas tank. And actually, I can take and show it to you. So this is the gas tank, and that's where I cut all kinds of patches out and all kinds of things to make things. Now that gas tank was really rusted, so once I would cut the piece out, I'd have to spend quite a bit of time cleaning up the rust off of it so I can make it work and stuff. So I still have some bigger flat areas and rounded areas, and it's amazing how you can make things fit from that. And of course, I purchased some metal here, just really cheap. Got it. My welder, I had to give it back, but I still have my tank of gas. So the guy said he has a Canadian Tire MIG welder. It's not nearly as nice as the Lincoln, but he said if I wanted, I could just have that other one. So hey, free is always good. So I may pick that up, and it's not like I'm welding frames together. I'm just welding like 20 and 18 and 20 gauge metal together. So you don't need a super razoo high-end welder out of that. So, but that's been a fun journey so far. I'm going to be, probably after I get the bezels on and the seats finished, I'll likely be taking this in the seats. I'll likely be taking this and parking it in a guy's yard, and I'll tarp it down real good for winter. Throw a bunch of mothballs around it, some dryer sheets or whatever it takes, and keeping it, because just because I ask 20,000 or 12,000 doesn't mean I'm going to get it. And like I said, if I don't get it, I'd almost be happier if I don't. But I just don't want to think about this sitting outside all winter. So I'd love for someone to buy it, but I do need to clear up some room in here so I can bring the other one in and start to work on it this winter. Hopefully COVID isn't so bad this winter. Hopefully I'll be able to do a bunch of work on this and get it done. Get work on the orange one and get it done. Like I said, I'm looking forward to putting some of those videos on. Sorry it's taken me so long to do a wrap-up video, but I've been, yeah, the minute we were able to travel and do a few other things around Saskatchewan, I've been working, traveling up to Prince Albert 3 or 4 times a month, and working there and other places. So all that to say is that it's been a great journey. I'm glad for the few of you who have been watching. I'm very thankful for you, and I look forward to doing a few more videos in the future. So there's the Beetle, and yeah, I'll dust it all off and make that all work. But this is something I just got, and I'm going to do a restoration of it. I know it's only a tricycle, but this tricycle was an antique in 1966. So it likely came out of the 1950s, early 50s, late 40s. My dad was famous for painting everything red. He had a surplus of red paint, and so therefore this is painted red, and I will strip the paint off it. I'll try to clean it up as best I can. I'm going to try to find what the original colors were, and then I would like to paint to that. There's missing some hubs, and I remember I used to have the hubs because this is the very first thing I pulled apart back in the day. I had some pliers, and I don't know what else I had here, but I pulled this all apart and got in a lot of trouble and had to put it all back together again. So yeah, it even has a little bell. So I might even pull that apart too. So anyway, that's something I'm going to fit into the middle of my journeys here too sometime. And the really neat thing is that it still has its badge on it. And I don't know what it says. It's like W-E-R-C-O, Werco or something like that, H-O. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm going to be doing. So, thanks for following us in the journey. Hope you guys had as much fun as I did, and we will talk to you soon. Bye now.